Do you see now the difference in our power?
Currently at the time of recording, the PlayStation servers are down. This has shocked the entire world, and it also came at the worst time ever. Heihachi Mishima's release date. This has forced the developers of Tekken 8 to extend the maintenance period by a couple of hours, which is also preventing players from going in and playing the character day one. You talk about that 3-day early access, boom, day number 1 is gone, just like that. But as for the update itself, players are generally saying good things about it. There's a lot of characters who was buffed and they are going now in the right direction. There are certain characters who only got a slap on the wrist who really deserved a whole lot more, Dragunov being one, Nina also being another, and then Yoshimitsu is a third. Whenever I talk about Yoshimitsu, I notice in the comment section of my videos, everyone's talking about Yoshi bias. I say all the time that Yoshimitsu is horribly busted, overpowered, and he deserves to be nerfed. I don't know why when I crack a joke or something, that's the only thing you guys hear. This character and Dragunov, Jin, King, there's like 10 characters in this game who is horribly overbalanced, and when I see Yoshimitsu get like a slap on the wrist in terms of the balance patch and I'm like overreacting, I thought you guys would pick up on these things as like a joke, but a lot of you guys it goes over your heads. But for the character like Yoshimitsu, Alyssa, so on and so forth, we'll see what the developers do about them in the future. The DLC stage that we thought was coming with Heihachi, it's his stage, is being sold separate from Heihachi, but also the battle pass itself. It has players who I never even seen complain about anything complaining. Majin Obama, pro players, FeedEX, Hypebuff Gigas explained it perfectly. I'm about to say good job Namco for the free story DLC. Then they are charging for the new stage even when I already owned the Ultimate Edition. They charged us like $100+ for the Ultimate Edition. They're charging us every couple of weeks for recycled skins. They're charging us for battle passes. Now they think it's okay to separate the stage from all of that stuff and try to sell it as well. You talk about them doing one thing good, like fixing a balancing or something like that, and then they just do something else totally ridiculous to just upset everyone. I'm not going to rant about it too much. I see a lot of players already talking about this, so they're doing it enough. But I just think we cannot continuously have these things. Bandai Namco needs to get it together, and they need to get it together fast. We cannot go backwards with all of these predatory monetization practices. It is not June anymore. They need to be moving forward, not backwards. But let's move on. When you talk about the stored monetization, they're adding the iconic Tekken 3 outfit. We do not have a release date on this yet, but if the pattern stays the same, this skin will drop in about 2 weeks. Another thing about the store, and this is more so focusing on Leo, I feel like we focus on Leo a lot when it comes to the store, and not in a good way. This character is locked out of a lot of items because the developers refused to specify her gender. They already said she was a female when they first announced her, and then they went back on that and they just say, you know, no gender at all. What that ends up doing in reality is locking a character out a lot of customization, and the Leo players are kind of tired of it. Someone tags Harada and says, can you please give Leo these outfits? Harada says he'll consider it. I get what they want to do with Leo, but it really just makes the conversation around this character super toxic because all people do is argue about politics, but then also the people who do actually like the character and want to appreciate the character, they basically get no customization items at all, or what they do is they'll get shoes from this outfit, gloves from that outfit, a hat from that outfit, so you're buying the whole thing but you only could use one of them. So it's really not fair for the Leo players. As a side note, Harada asked KFC to let Colonel Sanders, that's the mascot of KFC, to be a playable fighter in Tekken. The news article basically goes on to say that he presented this idea to them. He met them in person and told them all of his ideas, and they basically told him no. They shut him down. Now, me personally, I do not want Colonel Sanders in Tekken. This kind of reminds me of the PUBG collaboration that they did. A lot of players were scratching their head and saying PUBG and PUBG Mobile, those games are cool and all, but when you talk about doing collaborations and putting skins in games, everyone knows Fortnite is where you go. The fact that Street Fighter put Chun-Li, Cammy, Ken, and a couple other characters in Fortnite, and that has turned into this massive meme you see everywhere. The fact that Tekken didn't see that and say we need to do that with our characters as well, that is absurd. As soon as Street Fighter put their characters in Fortnite, I would have been knocking on Fortnite's door saying, hey, we got a couple of Tekken characters we want in the game too. Harada always talks about how Bandai Namco is a bigger company than Capcom. So if Capcom can do these things, Bandai Namco can do it no problem. So what's the problem? Now, as for the update specifically, there is a lot of cool things that I'm seeing. And also what I do want to say as well is that I'm seeing a lot of players who are excited about this update. Usually when you see patch notes, players are like doom and gloom. They're upset, they're frustrated. But the changes that they made to Devil Jin, that perfect electric wind God Fist, the change that they made to Harang, players are loving this update. And it's cool to see Tekken fans be happy. Like, for example, the Raven mains, that change that they gave Raven, that little 15 frame attack, that's like that has allowed Raven to do totally new combos and just express the character in totally new ways. Like, when you talk about balancing the character and making the character better, but not like OP, but just making the character more fun and just more like useful, that change that they did to Raven is a really good one. And even when I was looking at the patch notes, I was like, this is by far the best change on here. They're really changing how this move operates, and they're allowing players to get the full use out of it. By the way, all of these clips that I'm showing you from Twitter, if you see someone playing a character that you like or doing a setup that you like or a combo or whatever, go give that person a follow. We always got to thank and appreciate the lab monsters out there doing serious work. A lot of great clips in this video. Go follow those guys on Twitter. Now for Lars Alexander, his 2-2-2-2-2 wall splat heat activation. This move, when I look at it, I think, why wasn't this in the game at launch? Like, the fact that this is new, the fact that this is like something Lars players are like, yes, about, it's so surprising because, you know, Yoshimitsu's super OP. He could do pretty much anything. A move like this is something that I've been using from the start of the game and don't even think twice about. But the fact that this thing has just been given to Lars Alexander and it's considered like a big buff and it's like this huge moment of celebration, I guess it just shows the difference in characters and what players are stressing when they're talking about imbalance. But better late than never. Now, even though with Zhao Yu, her little grab tracking that they did as well, this is probably going to be a headache for me. You know, I personally don't really enjoy the Zhao Yu matchup. I feel like she changed a lot going from 7 to 8, and it's really not even the same character anymore. The matchup doesn't even feel the same. But with that being said, I am happy that the developers do, like, they make a change and they're not afraid to go back on it. They're not afraid to say, no, this was a bad change, or no, this change didn't turn out the way we expected it, so let's revert it, right? And as you can see with this change here with the Zhao Yu players, this was a good decision to revert this, and the players are, you know, once again, just appreciative of it. Now, when we talk about the big boy, the big guy, Heihachi Mishima, this guy looks crazy, and I mean that in two ways. One, I think the guy looks really, really cool. It's just so cool to go on Twitter and see everyone just super happy, doing electrics, doing super technical combos. This is what I feel like Tekken is meant to be. I understand they wanted to make the game accessible to new players and whatnot, but I think they pushed it too far in that direction, and I think Eddie is a perfect example of that. Way too simplified, but Heihachi is kind of the course correction of that. This is like a true Tekken character, even though you could talk about the stances and guard breaks and all of that stuff. They did simplify some things here and there, but generally the character like what we would expect Heihachi Mishima, a legacy Tekken character, to be. You're able to really demonstrate your skill, your knowledge of the game, and this is why I think the developers trying to give players access to all the damage, all the stuff like immediately is not good, because you got to give players something to work towards. You got to give players something to, like, oh, I see that combo, I want to do it, and then maybe you got to spend a couple of weeks trying to figure it out. You know, to quote the movie The Incredibles, when everyone is super, no one is super. When everyone is able to do a perfect electric wind God Fist, no one is doing it. Everyone is just blah. And with this update, they're realizing that this is a really good update, and I'm happy to see that everyone is just loving it. And I keep saying it, but we really went through this tough phase the past couple of weeks or so where everyone is just down on the game, me especially, right? So when they're going in the right direction, we do want to encourage them and say, yes, this is what we like, keep doing this. But also, like I said, point out some of the things we don't like, such as Heihachi's damage. I thought it was super weird that with the update version 1.0801, they were highlighting how they wanted to absolutely go after Dragunov's and Nina's damage. So you just have something weird there where like they know damage is a problem, but then they introduce another character, a DLC character who has that same problem. And now with nerfing of the Nina and Dragunov, Heihachi surpasses them. And this is when you got to talk about things like pay to win DLC and whether or not it's intentional and yada yada yada, right? So we'll see whether or not they nerf Heihachi's damage down the road. Same thing with Yoshimitsu and other characters who are doing over half health combos. I feel like it should take 3 or 4 combos to end a match, not 2. Definitely not 2.